All right, welcome. We'll step right into it with our guest today, because no need for a drawn-out intro from me. We'll do a mailbox together. Say hi, Kate.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah. No need to make it extra sultry. You can use your own voice. You want to do some emails?
Yes.
All right. We got one from Matthew here. Matthew's saying that the episode with Yoni on the heavy one, the conflict one on the Gaza war and all that stuff, he said, Matthew's saying that Yoni is an excellent storyteller and he left us at such a hanger that and then Matthew here can't wait to hear the next episode. I'll say that we're trying hard. Yoni's a busy man and we're trying to get him imminently. Yeah. So, we have another one here from Catherine. Is your name Catherine, Kate?
Yes, it is. Catherine. That's my fault.
All right. So we have one from Catherine. Who's this is a good one. Let me read this one out. So this one's from Catherine, and she says, "I must admit that when I saw the name of your podcast, I was both skeptical and intrigued. I was expecting kind of a red pill manosphere vibe." Can you translate that for me? What's a red pill manosphere vibe?
Red peel. Manosphere?
Yeah, red pill.
Red pill. I don't know about the red pill, but maybe coming from only a male perspective.
Exactly. But most men know about blue pills, not red pills. Yeah. Oh, well, we'll get a. Hopefully, she'll write in to clarify.
I hope so.
But I was pleasantly surprised and enjoyed your intro podcast. You have a great voice and a charming and entertaining way of talking. I'd be up for blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Then she's trying to set up some kind of date. We don't have to get into that. All right. And then we had one more. This one's from Poppy.
Poppy.
Yeah. Poppy says that she doesn't think Sylvia is our assistant's real name, that she thinks Sylvia is a fake person. Do you have any comments on that?
Sylvia is totally real.
Yeah.
She's a wonderful person.
Yeah.
You should meet her.
Well, she let you into this studio.
She did.
She's
taken care of me, given water, snacks.
Exactly. Sylvia's real. Sorry to disappoint you, Poppy. So today we're gonna do something fun because I have some preconceptions about what Kate over here does. I've been known to say, for example, that dancing is like cocaine, in that it's for people who have nothing interesting to say.
This is terrible.
Yeah, no, it is terrible. But you're here to set me right on all kinds of things. I also grew up in a home where I don't think if I said I want to do degrees in dance and or want to do it for a living or want to pursue it somehow, I don't think I would be. Not that I talk to them anyway, but I would be talking to. I only talk to my family through this podcast. But you have made your passion your life. You like dancing, I'm assuming, as a child, yeah?
Yes. So I started dancing as a child. My mom danced, and my dad was like in arts as well. So maybe they both enjoyed it to a certain extent. So they kind of put me in it as a kid.
So at what age did you even hear about? I don't think I ever in my life, by the way, heard that dance is something you can study, that they give you qualifications. And I thought it was what the happy people did, to be happy together while I sat in the corner with my pot noodle and a cry. So you love dance, and then at some point you discovered that you can actually go into this more seriously. Do you have to be in like a competitive environment to get into these degrees? Do you have to be good? How do you get on this track of studying dance seriously?
I think part of it is decision and part of it is your ability that you've cultivated. Whether or not you're going to be like a performer, or maybe you're really great at creating things. Maybe you go into more of like a choreographer kind of track.
Cool. Can I go with another question that has to do with my sort of prejudice about this?
Yes, go for it.
So, I'm assuming, because all the people who like dancing in my normal life, it was the interesting people would like chatting at the pre-drinking and making jokes and making everyone laugh, and that's how we met friends and girls and whatever. And then all the uninteresting hot people always wanted to stop all that, give me like some nose candy, and let's go to an awful nightclub where like awful music drowns out your voices so you don't have to say anything. In your when you got into dance degrees and like getting into it seriously, were there any fat or ugly people there?
Mm.
Because I'll clarify. That's a political yes or no. I'm I'll just clarify because I'm thinking I would arrive there. I'd get in because I'm thinking the academic side. Like I can talk about. I'm one of the most talented anthropologists of our generation. They say like I can talk about the cultural aspects of dancing and all that. But then we would get to the practical exam, and they'd go like, all right, otherwise that's good, but there's four of you and this is meant to be a solo exercise, like
Woo. I think that and the like dance world has changed as I've gotten older, because when I was a kid, and training and in these formative years, yeah, there was nobody that was like a different body type to the like ballet ideal, and that was really important. How you looked and like your size was a really important thing, and that was always stressed to me. So it's not something I feel like I saw a lot of when I was like growing up and training and things, but uh, now I do see a shift that there are dancers with all sorts of bodies. Yeah, I think that's amazing. So I
yeah.
think you
So
should
it's
start taking classes right now, and you have a brimming dance career ahead of you if you'd
of
like.
course, and I never meant that as a hobby, and to I never I never meant that all kinds of people aren't.
-10.
Yes.
Score. Did it great. Have a video. Love to share. You'd love to see.
You have a video of me dancing.
Yeah. Or a photo. Well, I take that back. It's a photo. But you remember this photo?
Okay, well, we're gonna put that behind like a Patreon paywall,
We sure will.
probably for the Japanese niche market, maybe. I'm not sure the mainstream will want to see that, but no, I never meant to say that as a hobby and to enjoy their lives. That people of all kinds of ilks are encouraged to dance. Like everybody dance if that's what makes you happy. That's great. But I meant just like people who will get on the serious track like you have. We are talking mostly physically fit people, right?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, there needs to be a certain element of physical fitness so that you don't hurt yourself. Yeah, just what I was saying is that I do think there's appreciation and like a place for all sorts of, all types of bodies, where I don't think that was the same not all that long ago.
Yeah, fair. Can we go straight to another? Like, this wasn't meant to be the structure of our conversation, but I'll go to another like awful thought that I've had. This isn't that awful. Again, this one might be painfully accurate. Okay, what about like the diversity of political leanings in the dance world? I have a feeling that there aren't too many like cowboy-hatted line dancing Republicans who are in the dance institutes of the universities.
That's correct. But we'll see where things go with the trajectory of dance and the arts. The funding is just being
What you think?
slashed
You
and slashed
I
and
think Big
slashed.
Donald is gonna start funding only the line dancing in the South, and there
Yes.
will be no.
Yes, only square dancing.
Okay, yeah.
Only that.
Hey, maybe it's time. You know,
I mean, it does like I did square dancing in 6th grade. Did you ever do any square dancing? Any of this like
I'm from a civilized Northern European country where we can dance in any shape we'd like, and we can have any shape we'd like, as we mentioned earlier. Round is I am in shape, and round is a shape.
perfect shape?
So the bachelor's degree you did initially, was it just called the bachelor's in dance?
It was a Bachelor of Science in Contemporary Dance and Kinesiology. So I studied contemporary dance, and then it also had this, scientific underlying. So like an understanding of how the body moves and how we look at that at the joint level and the muscular level and those kinds of things.
All right, and from that, how many would you guess from your graduating class found the jobs in somehow dancing for a living? just after the bachelor's, we're not talking about you have other degrees, but just after the bachelor's, was it mainly people went directly into waitering and waitressing, or was there some dance jobs available?
I think a small percentage of those who majored in dance actually went into dance. I think a lot of people went into fields like physical therapy or movement therapy or being a personal trainer or something else having to do with the body, but not so many people actually ended up making like a career out of performance. And I don't know if that's what they wanted, but yeah, most people found their path through like teaching or training others in some capacity, be that dance or personal training or Pilates or something like that.
Yeah, so the actual sort of dance jobs in a Broadway production or Hollywood, or that those are very rare, are they?
Yeah. I think especially because I went to a university in the Midwest in Indiana, and you have Chicago that's close by, which is a big city. I feel like a sort of the hubs for dance would are in some of these bigger cities. Sure, you can always teach somewhere else, but in terms of if you want to perform, those jobs are more in the bigger cities like Chicago or something. So being in Indiana didn't
Yeah,
come across
well,
that so much.
okay, I understand, but and also you're competing with all kinds of other people who didn't do come from the degree track, who are just talented otherwise, and you got
Sure.
YouTube and TikTok and all that.
Yeah.
Plus, they have an audience already,
Right.
so they're already
And
like,
that's even more so because when I was doing my like undergraduate degree, that wasn't as big, and now it's huge, you know. So I think there's been a lot of shifts in like how we share dancing, how we like portray it. We have video, we have Instagram, we have all these platforms to share what we're doing in all in all kinds of ways, in long formats and short formats and
so in that first degree, interesting. There are so many different forms, as you say. How much of their teaching focused on, let me call them the sort of marketable forms of dance, like modern things that are basically, I mean, part of it is sex appeal, but part of it is like entertaining forms of dance versus dance that is more funded by arts grants and part of the wider cultural spectrum, but not really making any Hollywood money.
I don't think my like undergraduate degree prepared me super well for how to make a realistic career in dance right now. Um, and I've done a lot of like other training on top of it to kind of get those skills that I feel like were lacking from my degree. But yeah, I think my dance degree gave me like a good foundation of like dance training and understanding where I'm coming from with that. But in terms of like making that next step to beyond the academic world, I think there was a big gap in like what I needed to get from that degree program to the career that I want to have, and finding out ways that I can fill those gaps. I feel lucky that I've been in a place like London where I've found a number of organizations that can help provide some resources to bridge those gaps. That's not like present in every city, but I think is something really great about London.
This is all making me extremely angry at my own whatever how I grew up, because you have found all of this in your life, and just all is based on a little girl who liked dancing, and then someone, and then you just found that you can pursue there's a degree called dance. We have some other guests similarly who are doing things that are like, there's a guy who does sword fighting for a living that I'm hoping to get on soon, and I wonder if that was a degree, and if it was, I'll be even more angry. Well, nobody told me this is stuff you can do. It was all just, there's engineering, there's medicine, and there's business. And anything else, you better like be really convincing that this is gonna lead to some kind of money or power. Ideally both.
Yeah. Well, it has always, I mean, it's always been like an ongoing narrative of like, if you want this path of being in the arts, this is going to require a lot of work and a lot of effort, and like expect this difficulty has always been the name of the game kind of thing. And I think, and that's still what it is. I feel like I was fortunate to have that information, knowing, okay, like this, I understand that this isn't going to be a easy path necessarily, and fortunate to have had parents who were willing to like take this chance and like listen to my ideas on where I wanted to go. But yeah, it's nothing secure.
Well, yeah, let's get into that. So, uh, first job out of, after the first dance degree. Well, you can go quickly, like first couple of years of jobs, or how many of them were dance, how many were not, how did you make a living?
Most of them were not dance. I think there were like right at the start there, thinking back to that time, there's like one project that carried on for a few months but was super meaningful, I guess. Like,
So you went into other things to pay the rent, but you kept your eyes on dance gigs roughly for the first couple of years.
that's it. Yeah.
This is a great free advert for dance in general, especially since you're going against a guy who never dances. I have the triple D principle, Danny don't dance. Yeah. A lot of guys talk about double D's. I go one further. Triple D's, yeah.
But you do dance. I'd love to see you dance again.
I have recently had to adjust my opinion because I can see that in young children.
The
Dancing
importance.
seems to be a natural way of expressing your happiness and exploring your bodily coordination, all that. That's yeah. I've changed my opinion slightly, and also I think it's becoming increasingly obvious to the astute listener of
Yes.
this product that I am quite like a damaged individual, and the fact that I didn't like dancing and thought that that was just for people who had nothing interesting to say might say more about me than it says about them.
Maybe so.
But we will never put that out there. I'll edit the shit out of that admission. Yeah, maybe at my son's wedding you'll see me do it. I want like, but I want to.
Before then.
But,
Before.
okay, I don't want none of your guys' vegan communist dances. I want like a square waltz from the Prussian Empire.
Okay, we can do a waltz.
Will you design a nice Prussian
Yes.
waltz?
I have one in mind already, in fact. We can do it.
Fantastic.
Put
You
it
know,
on
when
now,
we,
we can do the waltz.
well, when we were in high school in Finland, we all like our version of the prom is we all have to do these ballroom dances, and we practice them. It's like 1 or 2 sessions a week after school. The whole graduating class, you get a partner, and you run through all these foxtrots and waltzes and all that, and then you forget them forever. Like I
At your
wouldn't.
prom, did you have like a free dance moment where you could just dance however you wanted with your partner?
I hope not, because I would have like bolted out of like a flask of whiskey and some kind of metal. Yeah.
Really? So you didn't grind up on each other or anything? Like, where you like
See, that's the next.
legs
See, that's the.
like
Okay. All right. Well,
pelvis into the other?
oh, fair enough. I tried to be all polite here, but let's go to the next preconception because it's all a massive like simulation of sex, dances.
Yep. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So, like, if I tried to convince either a bank where I need a student loan from or my parents that I want to do a degree in the simulation of sex, I think there would be some fucking backlash.
But it's not all the simulation of sex. Like, it's also dance is a ritual, right? It's been a part of like cultures for a very long time. It's how we process things, events, like time. I mean, I think there's a lot of substantial things behind it that aren't just sex. And so I think there's a lot of value in it, and also in terms of like your like self-expression and how you like relate to others and interact with others and understand how to do that. I think dance can help you with that. Like
So, to get back to you for a second, bachelor's degree, you graduated some, let's not age you or anything, but some years ago, and then you did odd jobs combined with looking for dance gigs, basically. Then you decided to do a master's, and you finished that too. Couple of questions about that. The master's was in like contemporary artsy fartsy stuff, yes?
Yeah, the master's was a Master of Fine Arts in Creative Practice, contemporary dance. Oh, wait, back up, because it's a little longer and I messed it up.
Try again.
MFA in Creative Practice, Dance Professional Practice. So it's a long name. And it's, yeah, essentially degree in dance, but one that is open to whatever your creative practice entails.
But in short, do you think by doing this master's, do you think you put in yourself further into the unemployable dance space or closer to where the employability is? But I'm sure you sort of arts people hate that word anyway.
I think definitely closer to the employability. And that's part of why I wanted to do the degree, is that having a higher degree, I can teach in higher education. And also just more of an understanding of like, who am I and who am I as an artist and what do I have to offer?
You view yourself as more as a holistic artist who's producing a piece that's not only bodily movement, but is commenting on something or existing in the cultural field as a like they're pieces. We're talking choreographed sort of larger pieces now. It's not just moving correctly with the right movement to what someone else tells you to move in.
That's right. Yeah, it's things devised on this particular theme, but then can take a lot of forms based on like who is it that's come into the idea or the project and what are they bringing with them.
I'll tell you an anecdote. You took me to a yeah, you took me
Oh,
to
the
a
one in Brighton.
yeah, you took me to a modern dance thing in Brighton, and I had seen modern dance before, several times actually, and it's not that, but viewing notes would have helped, like a little pamphlet maybe to the casual visitor would have helped. Like, what am I looking for here? What should I appreciate? Generally, I just looked at two very athletic, talented people doing movements together, two or three. But what story he was trying to tell was completely over my head. And also, do have to say, because I'm a judgy little cunt, I do have to say that I also people watched. So watching the other people in the audience, it was hilarious how serious they were and how they were clearly pretending to understand more than me. Because we both know that I'm probably the smartest person to ever exist. And if I don't understand that at least 80% of you are pretending with that serious face, I should see more smiles, awkwardness, confusion.
Well, but the scene kind of set you up for that. The lights are low, it's dark, like performers are doing their thing. But yeah, but that's good information. A pamphlet could help, like something with a little bit more nuts and bolts information, like what are we working with here? What's the topic? Or some information about how you chose to approach it, because there's so many ways it could look. So like more information would be really helpful. I don't know. I feel like the seriousness of it, maybe they were just trying to make sense of it, and it was quite a serious like sound score and scene, and it was dark, and there were some like fluorescent lights, like pops of fluorescent light, and what the performers were wearing and what was on the floor.
I'm prepared to understand that it's far beyond my understanding, and I'm also prepared to accept that I wasn't meant to understand, because I haven't even so much as bothered to go on the dance floor in a nightclub. So wait. One more. We're almost there, Kate.
I can continue.
No, don't worry about it. So I seen pictures of you. You're in this fountain, I'm assuming in London, and you're all
Fountain or a tank? Fountain.
It was a fountain outdoors, I think. It looks like in the courtyard of a museum or something, and you're all dressed in dark, and those pictures look very cool. Like the water is splashing, and the movements are certainly shapes that I could never contort my body into. What was that performance about?
That performance was, it was commissioned for a performance festival at the Victoria and Albert Museum. And it was a site-specific performance in response to the like fountain that they have there. So
it was just a performance piece. There was no like political objective, like increase arts funding or something.
That's right. With this one, there was no ulterior. It was just sort of in celebration of this particular space within this beautiful museum.
What's the juiciest political statement in the form of contemporary dance that you've been involved with?
Ooh, that's a juicy question. I did a performance as part of like a protest once.
Protest for what? It doesn't want to say. He's giggling. Giggling. This is something you don't support anymore.
It was a Craigslist ad, and it was looking for dancers for this thing. And I replied, and we met, and it was in Germany. They were passing a law that said that if you were like a human with a relationship to an animal, the German government the German government was outlawing this, and I didn't.
Oh no! Okay. Wait. So you responded to an ad, and I'm assuming at this time you're pretty sort of desperate for dance gigs. You're making ends meet with various odd jobs, and
I was teaching.
this was a pro animal and human relationship dance.
So I was like teaching dance and like teaching English, whatever jobs I could take. And yeah, I saw this ad, and it was like a director looking for performers for this thing, and he gave the rate. And then I went to the meeting, and it was like me and 3 other actors, and the guy was like, well, they've just passed this like law to outlaw relationships between humans and their animals. And so the people who were protesting against this, they contacted the director, and then we all drew straws to figure out what our character would be, because there was the tiger, there was the woman on the cross, there was the like crazy doctor.
Wait, there's a woman on the cross. We're now combining like bestiality with Passion of the Christ. What is happening in this dance?
Yes, very much building this scene of like bestiality. And guess who drew the straw to be the one that was on the cross? Me.
Yeah. We can all get. I was worried about this next request we have. Our final email for today, but clearly you've proven that you will dance for anything. We have a request from our money guys in the Cayman Islands. If you could choreograph and produce, we will get the funding. Obviously that's not a problem. But if we could produce a dance protesting the colonial government of the Cayman Islands and the foreign interference in their banking practices, so we want to call it Free the Money Men.
Sure.
Dance,
when do you need it by?
What? Sorry?
When do you need it by?
We can make it a sort of. We were thinking it would be like an episodic, long-term thing. That there would be various scenes of, like maybe sort of British guys wearing those colonial hats from Africa and those whips, and then poor bankers in the Cayman Islands in little cages or something, with their maybe like secret wallets, and then the British guys trying to look inside their wallets, like who they are, or something like that.
Okay. Yeah. I think we can make this happen.
Yeah, because clearly we're ready to sell our dance here, Kate. So
Dynamic duo.
So right now, just to recap, you're in a reality where you dance for a living when you can. You do instructions, you do Pilates, children's classes, everything to make ends meet. And then sometimes you have to do regular, boring jobs. Would you say that in your age group of people who've done a similar track, that's quite common?
I think it is. It also varies. Like there's so many different paths we could take, and how we choose to approach health and dance and fitness. Like there's so many avenues to those realms. Like what are you interested in, and how do you choose to get into it? So
you, from like, if you look back at all the people you met in your dance career so far, how many have had lucrative enough gigs from dance that they haven't really had to do anything else for a living?
I'd say about 3/4.
Yeah. So a large part of it. People all the young kids out there, not that we don't speak directly to children, I'm saying all the parents of young kids out there, let them do what they enjoy. It is possible to live
It's
and
totally
happy.
possible.
Yeah. So if you've admitted that you haven't listened to all these episodes. If you had, you would know what's coming next.
You should have listened. Damn it.
Yeah. all our episodes we end with a public service announcement.
Okay.
Yeah, because we had a sponsor. The Saudis were sponsoring, but they pulled out due to our views on the some of our views on the Middle Eastern
Shit.
conflict. Yeah, so our we still have our money, guys, in the Cayman Islands, but until we get advertising to the end, we go with public service announcements. You have anything?
It's a lovely show. Been great to be here.
Okay,
today.
no. I'll give you another chance to think.
Yeah, what else are you seeing these?
No, I have an easy one, inspired partially by you. I'll go with, look, this is how you do a public service announcement. Professional.
Mm.
Cigarettes are disgusting. If you're a smoker, find it within you to quit. It's not your fault. You're a victim of advertising, television, or it's not your fault. You're a victim of everything and blah, blah, blah. But find it within you to quit. They're disgusting. There's no redeeming qualities. I used to think when I smoked that everyone was just infringing on my liberties when they looked at me on the street. Here's the thing: those people are breathing in your shit. They have kids, they have dogs, they have everything. They are right, you are wrong. There you go, Kate. That's a public service announcement.
That's a public service.
But you go with something more positive. Go with something happy.
You know, I think
Like
you
dance
closed this off
related.
really well. We should all dance every day, and don't stop. Keep moving your body.
Hey, there you go. There you go, Kate. Thank you, and we'll have you back. Beautiful. Thanks so much.
Thank you.